We're still in the fourth chapter of Gittin, the Tractate of Divorce, and we're still looking at Tikkun Olam, a fix to the world. Although, as we've said before, this is mainly a fix to the rabbis. If a halacha is not right, the rabbis will fix it. But we'll see how this plays out, and we've said before that we're zigzagging between slavery and marriage, whether this is something that is in the back of the mind, well, it's clearly something in the back of the mind of the rabbis as they're discussing release from marriage, divorce, release of a wife. But let's jump into the Mishnah and we'll see how this plays out. Someone who sends his slave to Gentiles or to abroad. In other words, he sells him essentially outside the Jewish domain, either because a Gentile buys him or because he's being transported out of the land of Israel. Yatsav en chorin. He goes free. The normal contracts of slavery don't seem to apply if we hand a slave over to Gentiles. And then just jumping off this idea, Ein podim et hashvuyim yater al demehem. We don't redeem captives for more than their normal value. We don't pay excessive amounts to redeem captives. Why not? Mipnei tikkun olam, because of tikkun olam. Actually, we're going to go further than that. We don't help captives to escape or enable them to escape. Mipnei tikkun olam, because of tikkun olam. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel omer mipnei takanat hashvuim. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says to repair captives, takanat hashvuim. He seems to be thinking that captives are going to be abused or not well taken care of if the captors are afraid that they're going to run away. So we don't help them to run away. And we should ask actually, like, why is it that we don't pay out to ransom them? Because we know that ransoming captives is a primary mitzvah. Collecting money to ransom captives takes precedence over practically anything else. And I just wanted to bring the Gemara. It's brought on the source sheet, but let's just read the Gemara. Ibailahu. They asked about mipnei tikkun olam. They asked about what is the tikkun olam in the context of not paying too much to ransom captives. They asked about it. And the Gemara responds, Mishum duchka de tziburahu. Maybe it's because of pressure on the community. If we pay too much, the community will no longer be able to afford the costs that it's going to have to bear to redeem all these captives. So that's one possibility. Or dilma mishum de lo ligravu veleitu tafi. Maybe we put this restriction on paying too much so that they don't seize and bring more. In other words, so that bandits or foreigners or armies or whoever is taking Jews as captives shouldn't be incentivized to take more. It's really interesting. We can see in this Gemara really practical questions about how we deal day to day with a world in which people love taking Jews captives because they know the community will ransom them. So how do we deal with that? The Gemara actually then brings an example. Tashma, come and learn. The Levi bar Darga, parka, levarte, but klesa alfe dinare. Come on here. Levi bar Darga redeemed his daughter with 13,000 gold dinars. So, I mean, this is an enormous sum, right? Way, way above the kind of the price of a slave in the market. And the Gemara seems to be saying, okay, the community doesn't have to pay more than the fair amount. But there seems to be no restriction on a private individual paying more than the fair amount to ransom a captive. So we do pay to ransom captives, but we don't force the community to do so. And similarly, if they steal our Torah scrolls, Ein lokchem Ein lochem sfarim tefillin umuzuzot min hagoyim. We don't buy back sifrei Torah or tefillin or mezuzot min hagoyim from Gentiles yater al dmehem, more than their worth. Mipnei tikkun olam, because of tikkun olam. And here clearly we don't want to incentivize these robbers, if you like, in the other communities. We get a sense, by the way, as the social conditions at the time of the Mishnah, we don't want to incentivize people to steal tefillin and mezuzot and Torah scrolls. So we don't pay too much for them when we buy them back. Clearly, by the way, we are going to buy them back. So there's an assumption we're going to buy them back, but there's a limit. There's a limit on how much we pay. We got time. Let's look at just one other example of tikkun olam. Well, this is more related to Gittin now, so we're going to circle back into divorce. Mishum shemra, someone who divorces his wife because of ill repute. And we're talking here about ill repute, about adultery. And halacha, the basic halacha is lo yachzir. He can't remarry her. In other words, he divorces her on the basis he's really divorced her. And this seems to be just so that the get is known to be entirely valid, that he can't say, oh, well, maybe the accusations are disproved later. He can't say, oh, gosh, the get is invalid because it was made on a false assumption. I want to bring her back. Because, of course, she might have she might have remarried by that point. A get has to be final. Mishem neder lo yachzir, and similarly, because of a vow, he can't remarry her. And now the Mishnah will get into a discussion. Rabbi Yehuda omer kol neder sheyadu bo harabim lo yachzir v'shelo yadu vo harabim yachzir. Rabbi Yehuda says, we're only talking about vows which the public knows about. Then he can't remarry her. But for vows which the public don't know about, he can remarry her. So Rabbi Yehuda is going to lighten up. Rabbi Meir omer, kol neder shu tzarich chakirat chacham lo yachzir, v'she'eino tzarich chakirat chacham yachzir. Rabbi Meir will lighten up in a different way. He says, look, for a vow that requires a sage to investigate in order to release it, he can't remarry her. But for one which does not require the investigation of a sage, he may remarry her. Amar Rabbi Elazar lo asru ze ela mipnei ze. Rabbi Elazar said they only forbid this one because of that one. Amar Rabbi Yossi, but Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi, in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, said, and now we're going to get to the key point. So Rabbi Yossi, in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, or son of Rabbi Yehuda, Masebet Sidon. It happened in Sidon. This is in Lebanon, by the way. Again, we get a sense of the boundaries of the land of Israel. Masebet Sidon be'echad she'amar lishto kunam she'eni megaresh. Rabbi Yossi, son of Rabbi Yehuda, said it happened in Sidon of a man who took an oath. He took an oath and he said to his wife, Kunam, if I don't divorce you. He swore to divorce her. Vehitiru lo chachamim shiachzirena. But he swore that he would divorce her. Vegersha, and he did divorce her. He did divorce her. Vehitiru lo chachamim shiachzirena. The sages permitted him to remarry her. Mipnei tikkun olam, because of tikkun olam. You can imagine the sages in the final analysis, I mean, they permit divorce, but they don't want divorce. And they don't want to split up a marriage. And of course, we know already they don't like vows. They certainly wouldn't like a vow like this. So in this case, because of tikkun olam, they allowed him to remarry her.